Okay, now I've stopped on the side of the road. Earlier today I did a video about how to find a true connection, how to create a true connection in the present moment. And the way that we do that, like I had said in the video, is by letting go of our desire to control the future and by letting go of our being stuck in the past, being stuck on things that have happened in the past. If you haven't watched that video, please go back and watch that, and this will make much more sense to you now. Now, a big thing that we do when we go about connecting with other people, when we go about trying to find that true connection, is that we confuse the desires of the mind, the actions of the mind, with the desires of the heart. Now, the mind is something that's very interesting because the mind always plays tricks on us. The mind always calculates. The mind sets out goals. The mind thinks about what's happening now and thinks about what's happening next and thinks about what's happening in the past. And the mind maps everything out. The mind wants to be one step ahead of the next. The mind wants to be prepared. The mind wants to be secure. The mind wants to be secure in knowing what's going to happen in the future. So that in this connection that we're talking about, connecting with another person, the mind treats it kind of like a chess game. And I think you'll understand right now I think you'll know what I'm talking about. The mind always wants to be one step ahead. It wants to know the next thing the person you're talking to is going to say, and it wants to be prepared to say something that's going to be able to respond to that. And then it wants to create the next thing to say, and the next thing to say, and the next thing to say. It's like a game, or you make the wrong move. And the mind thinks, God, I made a wrong move back there, and it's stuck on something on something that it perceives to be the wrong move. Now, the mind desires security, as we talked about. The mind calculates. It has that intellectual capacity. The heart does not calculate. The heart is not intellectual. The heart feels. The heart is the true self. The heart is something that perceives in the present moment. The heart does not judge. That's the connection that we're talking about when we're talking about present moment connection. Now, an intellectual connection is important. It's important to have to stimulate the mind in a conversation, to have a mental connection with somebody. But in this case, we're talking about something different. We're talking about a connection of the heart. And a connection of the heart is something that occurs when we let go of the thinking mind, when we let go of thinking. So if you want to create a connection of the heart, you have to let go of treating every interaction that you have, the interactions that we have with other people, as if everything was a connection of the mind. We're all in here, and we're never here. So when we let go of that, let go of the need to play a game, let go of the need to, and I don't mean playing games, I mean let go of the need to treat reality as if it's a game. Let go of the need to treat an interaction with somebody, a connection with somebody, as if it's a game to be won, as if there's some place to go, somewhere to be, something to get out of it. Because the only thing that we can get out of a connection of the heart is this moment right now, is feeling what's happening right now, is experiencing the moment happening right now. The heart doesn't judge. The heart doesn't think. The mind thinks. The mind judges. The mind separates. The mind is intellectually stimulated. The heart is stimulated by feeling. If you try to create a connection of the heart, which is spontaneous, happens right now, it's something that is beyond words. When we confuse that with a connection of the mind, when we try to use mental capacity in order to create a connection of the heart, the only thing that does is set up a larger barrier. It sets up a barrier to intimacy between you and the other person. Because the mind calculates, like we said, the mind treats everything like a chess game, and it puts that chess game right here, and it says, how can I get to connecting to the mind, and to connecting to the heart? And once we do that, as we know, now we're stuck back in linear thinking. Now we've escaped from the present moment. Our minds are always stuck in the past, and our minds are always stuck in the future. When there's a true heart connection, the heart feels. The heart is spontaneous. And so when we try to use the power of the mind to create a heart connection, you're going to be searching and searching and searching forever and be more and more and more anxious. And the only thing you're really doing is separating yourself farther and farther and farther away from the connection that you truly want to create. So to find that true heart connection, like we said, be, feel, listen, sense, express. Do not think. Do not predict. Do not do any of those things that the mind likes to do. Treat it as something separate and distinct. Mental connection is important, like we said, but the heart connection, that connection that cannot be expressed in words, that is something that is equally, if not much, much more important. Because you are your mind, and you are your heart, and you are so much more.